Hong Kong lawmakers are debating this national anthem bill. What message is China and pro-China politicians trying to send in discussing this bill, especially given the timing with Carrie Lam in Beijing to talk about the national security law?
Well, I think we can read this on a few levels. First of all, the bill is now in its third reading, so this is something that is it's not something that is new. I think the message that the Chinese government really wants to send is that to everybody is that that Hong Kong is Chinese territory, it's not American or British territory. And to the Hong Kongers, I think the clear message is that Hong Kong enjoys a high degree of autonomy under the Basic Law and not complete autonomy, as some of the protesters would like to say. So the idea of autonomy should not be equated with the idea of sovereignty. And using the freedom of speech to propagate anti-China, anti-Chinese messages or to promote independence is something that should not be allowed. This problem with the insulting the national anthem actually goes the way back to 2014, where many of the Hong Kong protesters were booing the Chinese national anthem after the sports matches, particularly football matches, and they were, doing things with the flags and stuff. And I think the pro-government camp in Hong Kong is trying to calm the nerves in Beijing. Personally, I always think it's better for Hong Kong people and the Hong Kong Legislative Council to try and pass these laws than to have Beijing write the laws for them. I think it would be in Hong Kong's best interest. So at this point, I think that's what the Chinese, I beg your pardon, that's what the pro-government legislators are trying to do.
Right. And then in regards to China's national security law, which China passed last week, it is bypassing the Legislative Council in order to push this law through. And this law has been very controversial there in Hong Kong. Are there any legal or political tools that Hong Kong can use to stop it at this point?
Well, if I'm correct, a couple of days ago, the government has actually presented to the central government. They have collected signatures of people who support the law, and if I am correct, they collected somewhere around close to 2.9. The government claim is 3 million, but I think it's closer to 2.9 million signatures of Hong Kong residents who support the law. So we cannot say that that those who oppose the law are actually in the majority, because 3 million is a lot of people. It's almost half of Hong Kong population. That's the first thing. The second thing is actually under the Basic Law, China has every right to promulgate the law as provided for, because foreign affairs and national security are actually under Chinese purview. And if you read closely I beg your pardon, if you read closely the Basic Law, you will see that actually the HKSAR is constituted to be part of the Chinese nation. So in actual fact, Hong Kong has actually no tools to stop the Chinese parliament from passing this law, but Hong Kong people can voice the dissatisfaction and concerns, as many are doing right now. So, but this, it's a personal view. I think this is a failing of the Hong Kong legislators, because since 2003, they have been debating about this bill, and it's almost 18 years and nothing has been done. And I guess given the problems that we see in 2019, Beijing has lost its patience, and therefore the Chinese government is now undertaking to write this bill.
Right. There has also been a lot of criticism from the West regarding this national security law, mainly from the United States, including the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who certified to Congress last week that Hong Kong no longer enjoys a high degree of autonomy from China. What do you think this issue with Hong Kong means for the broader developments in U.S.-Sino relations?
It's very worrying. As a political scientist, I don't think that this is just the Hong Kong issue is not just a standalone democratization issue. It's not really the case. It's only come to the fore since 2000 2014, and that is because I personally I think this has to be contextualized against the growing tensions in Sino-U.S. relations, particularly in the latter part of the Obama administration and from Trump administration onwards. The U.S. government is really keen to if you like, check the growing Chinese power, and because the Chinese are actually becoming more and more powerful economically, so the American government is wanting to contain the Chinese. So Hong Kong has unfortunately become one of the fronts in the new Cold War between China and Japan. Now, with regards to the measures, I watched Trump's speech just a couple of days ago, and he was blasting and blaming the Chinese for everything. He did not take questions, and then he returned. Now, Trump is very big on emotions, very big on all the grandeur of giving a speech, but he actually makes very little. He gives very little detail as to how he's going to sanction Hong Kong. So, like the British also announced measures, and again, the British announced that they are giving a pathway for BNO passport holders.
Right.
But these measures, both the British and the US measures, are actually half-hearted. The British in 1985 actually pressured Portugal not to give citizenship to the Macau people because then it would put pressure on London to give citizen rights to the Hong Kong people. Right. So I don't think that the measures are well thought through. It's more indicative of politicians who like to grab the mic for a soundbite.